Have you ever heard of someone who vanished on their way to work and was never seen again? That's what happened to Jodi, a bright and intelligent lady who went missing one morning and no one knows why. Jodi Huisentruit was a happy, kind, and beautiful woman who loved telling stories on news. She lived in a quiet town called Mason City, where everyone knew each other. Jodi had a big dream of becoming a famous news anchor, and she worked hard every single day. But one morning, something scary happened, and Jodi never showed up for work. Let's delve into the bright life of Jodi Huisentruit. Once upon a time, in a quiet town full of trees and friendly people, there lived a happy young woman named Jodi Huisentruit. Jodi had a big, bright smile that could light up any room. She loved to laugh, and she loved to make other people smile too. Her friends said she was like sunshine on a cloudy day. Everyone who met Jodi said the same thing. She's so sweet, so kind, and so full of life. Jodi grew up in a small town in Minnesota, where she loved playing outside, making friends, and helping people. She wasn't rich or famous when she was little, but she had big dreams in her heart. Do you know what Jodi dreamed of being when she grew up? She wanted to be on TV, not to act in movies or be a superhero, but to share stories. She wanted to be a TV news anchor, the person who sits behind the news desk and tells people about what's going on in their town. She thought it was important that people knew what was happening around them, and she wanted to be the one to tell them. That was her dream. And guess what? Jodi worked really hard in school. She studied journalism, which is the word for learning how to tell news stories the right way. She practiced reading the news, writing good stories, and speaking clearly so people would understand. She didn't give up, even when it was hard. She kept smiling and pushing forward. Finally, her dream came true. Jodi got a job as a morning news anchor in a place called Mason City, Iowa. That meant she had to wake up very, very early, before the sun came up, so she could go to work and be on TV when people were eating breakfast and getting ready for the day. Jodi loved her job. She would read the news, talk about the weather, share fun stories about the town, and sometimes interview nice people. Everyone who watched her on TV said she made them feel calm, safe, and happy, like a friend talking to them. She even helped out in her community. Jodi joined clubs, went to events, and talked to people. She loved being part of something bigger than herself. Even when she wasn't on TV, she was always trying to help others. Her co-workers said she was fun to be around. She liked to sing little songs while getting ready in the makeup room, and she always brought in treats like muffins or cookies. They called her bubbly, which means she was full of happy energy. But Jodi also had big plans for her future. She dreamed of moving to a bigger city one day, maybe Minneapolis or even New York City, so more people could hear her tell the news. She wanted to grow in her career and maybe even become a famous news anchor across the whole country. Jodi was only 27 years old. She still had so many things she wanted to do. She talked about going on vacation, buying a house, and even finding someone special to start a family with someday. Life seemed full of hope for Jodi. She had good friends, she had a good job, and she had big, beautiful dreams that she believed would come true. But then, something strange happened, something that no one expected. One morning, everything changed, and Jodi's bright smile was suddenly gone. What happened the morning Jodi disappeared? It was a warm summer day, June 27, 1995, in the little town of Mason City, Iowa. The birds were singing, the sky was still dark, and most people were still sleeping. But Jodi usually woke up very early because she worked on the morning news. Her show started at 6 a.m., so she had to be at the TV station before then. At around 4 a.m., one of her co-workers, a man named Amy, waited for Jodi to arrive at the station. But Jodi didn't show up. That was very strange. Jodi was always on time. She was never late. She was usually the one reminding others to be early. Amy tried to call Jodi's phone. It rang and rang. No answer. They waited a little longer, but still no sign of Jodi. Now everyone was starting to feel a little worried. So, a co-worker called the police and asked them to check on her. Jodi lived in an apartment just a few minutes away. It was a safe place. Nothing bad usually happened there. But something didn't feel right this time. The police drove to Jodi's home and parked in front of the building. They looked around. Her red car was still in the parking lot. But Jodi was not inside. As the officers walked closer to the car, their hearts sank. They saw something very wrong. Next to the car, there were Jodi's red high-heeled shoes lying on the ground. Also near the car were her hair dryer, her hairspray, and her car keys, scattered on the pavement like they had fallen out of her hands quickly. Even more frightening, the side mirror of her car was bent backward, and there were deep scratches on the car door, like someone had hit it hard, or maybe pulled Jodi away. It looked like there had been a struggle. The officers looked at each other. This didn't seem like a person who just forgot something or dropped their things by mistake. It seemed like someone had taken Jodi, right there, in the early morning, while it was still dark outside. They checked inside her car. It was unlocked. Her purse was missing. The apartment building had a few people inside, and the police started asking them if they saw or heard anything. A few neighbors said they had heard a scream, just one, sometime before sunrise. But they weren't sure who it came from, and they didn't see anyone. Someone else said they saw a white van nearby, but no one knew who it belonged to. That was all. No one saw Jodi leave. No one saw her get in a car. No one saw anyone with her. It was like she had just disappeared into the air. Meanwhile, back at the news station, people were crying. They couldn't believe it. Jodi wasn't someone who would run away. She loved her job, her town, her life. Something was terribly wrong. The police started looking everywhere. They searched the nearby river, the woods, the fields. They brought in dogs who could sniff the ground and follow scents. Helicopters flew overhead, looking down at the trees and roads. People in the town put up posters with her face on them. They passed out flyers at grocery stores and parks. Missing, Jodi Huisentruit. If you've seen her, please call the police. People wore yellow ribbons for Jodi. They lit candles. They held hands and prayed. Everyone hoped she would be found safe. But days passed, then weeks, and still, no Jodi. There were no videos. No cameras had caught what happened. In 1995, most places didn't have cameras outside. There were no fingerprints, no notes, and no clear signs of who could have taken her. It was like a bad dream. One day she was here, smiling on TV, and the next, she was just gone. Her family came to town, and they were heartbroken. Jodi's mom cried every night. Her sisters held on to hope. They kept asking, "Where is our Jodi?" But no one could answer that question. Police followed hundreds of leads. They talked to strangers, checked cars, knocked on doors. Some people said they had clues, but they were never helpful enough. And through all of this, her red car sat quietly in the parking lot, like it was still waiting for her to come back. But she didn't, and the town, once full of smiles, now had a shadow over it. People were scared. If Jodi could disappear, could it happen to someone else too? No one wanted to believe it, but no one could forget it either. The search for Jodi. When Jodi Huisentruit didn't show up for work that day, everyone in town began to worry. It just didn't make sense. Jodi was always happy, always careful, and always on time. She loved her job, and she would never just disappear without telling someone. That's when people began to feel that something was very wrong. Her co-workers at the TV station were the first to sound the alarm. They called her phone again and again, but Jodi didn't answer. Then they called the police, asking for help. And very soon, the whole town found out that Jodi was missing. The police arrived at Jodi's apartment building early that morning. They saw her red car sitting in the parking lot, but she wasn't inside her home. As we said earlier, her shoes, keys, hair tools, and a bent car mirror were all scattered outside her car. This told the police one big thing. Someone had taken her. But who? And why? The officers quickly made the area around her car a crime scene. That means they put up yellow tape and told people not to touch anything. They wanted to collect clues, like fingerprints, shoe prints, or anything that might have been left behind by the person who took her. Then they went door to door, talking to all the neighbors in the apartment building. Did you hear anything strange last night? Did you see a car or person that didn't belong? Do you know anyone who might have hurt Jodi? A few people said they had heard a scream very early in the morning, just one, and then silence. Someone else said they saw a white van parked nearby. That might be important, they thought, but nothing was certain. There were no cameras outside the building back then. Most people didn't have cell phones with flashlights or tracking apps. In 1995, things were very different, and so the police began to feel what everyone else was feeling: confused, scared, and heartbroken. As soon as people found out Jodi was missing, the whole town began to help. Jodi wasn't just someone on TV. She was a friend. She went to community events. She smiled at people in the grocery store. She waved at kids when she walked to her car. People loved her, so the townspeople decided they would not sit and wait. They started to organize search parties. These were groups of people who walked together in the parks, along rivers, in forests, and on country roads, looking for Jodi. They looked under bridges. They looked near the water. They peeked into barns and behind buildings. Some even used boats and helicopters to cover more ground. Other people printed missing posters with Jodi's face on them. The posters had a smiling picture of her and words that said, "Missing, Jodi Huisentruit. Please call the police if you see her or know anything." They taped them to walls, shop windows, and telephone poles. Kids helped too. They gave out the flyers. Some drew pictures of Jodi and placed them with candles near her apartment, as if to say, "We miss you, Jodi." The people in Mason City showed how much they cared. They didn't want Jodi to feel forgotten. The investigation grows bigger. The police called in bigger investigators, people who had worked on large missing person cases before. They searched for clues in Jodi's life. They asked, did she have enemies? Or was someone jealous of her? Did someone follow her? But Jodi was loved by many. No one could think of anyone who would want to hurt her. Still, the police followed every little tip and every little rumor. When someone said they saw a suspicious van, the police checked it. When someone said they saw Jodi in another town, the police drove there too. They even talked to people Jodi had dated, old friends, and co-workers, just in case. But again and again, they hit a wall. No one saw what happened. No one heard much, and no one had proof of anything. Jodi's family drove into town as soon as they heard the news. Her mom, Margie, was so sad. She kept asking the police, "Where's my daughter? Why would someone do this?" Her sisters were heartbroken. They hugged each other and tried to stay strong, but the pain was heavy. People from other towns started to hear the story too. Jodi's disappearance was now on the national news. News reporters from all over the country talked about her. People everywhere prayed she would be found. In Mason City, the community held vigils, gatherings where people held candles, said prayers, and shared memories of Jodi. It was quiet. It was peaceful. It was full of love. One child placed a note on Jodi's apartment door. It said, "Please come home. We miss you." Another note read, "You are not alone." But even as the days passed, no one found her. Not in the woods, not by the lake, not on the roads, not anywhere. And that made the sadness grow. Still, the police kept trying. The people kept hoping. And her family kept waiting. They refused to give up because they believed that somewhere, somehow, Jodi was still out there. Days passed, then weeks, then months, and still, no one could find Jodi Huisentruit. Her red car stayed in the parking lot, just like it was the day she disappeared. Her apartment stayed quiet. Her spot at the news desk stayed empty. People hoped that maybe, just maybe, she had gotten away. Maybe she would walk through the door one day, smiling, and say, "I'm okay." But that day never came. After a whole year passed, Jodi's family held a special event in Mason City. They invited her friends, co-workers, and people from all over town. They lit candles, shared memories, and played soft music. Some cried, some smiled. Everyone missed her. They called it a remembrance vigil, a time to honor Jodi and remember her beautiful heart. Her mother, Margie, spoke to the crowd. She said, "Jodi was full of life. She didn't deserve this. We won't stop looking for her." Her words were gentle, but strong. She still believed someone, somewhere, knew what happened. Even after the first year, the police did not stop. They followed every tip they received, no matter how small. If someone said they saw a white van, they checked. If someone claimed they heard something years ago, the police listened. They searched rivers again. They walked through cornfields. They brought in dogs who could sniff out clues. They used computers to go over phone records. They spoke to people who lived near Jodi at the time. But still, no Jodi. No clothes. No body. No sign of where she went. The case became what grown-ups call a cold case. That means it stayed open, but there were no new clues for a long, long time. Clues, but no answers, even though no one was ever arrested. The police found some things that were strange. They discovered Jodi had written in a journal that she felt someone might be following her. She once told a friend that she thought someone was watching her from outside her window, but no one ever saw that person. Some people said they saw a white van near her apartment the morning she disappeared, but police could never find the driver. A few people thought someone close to Jodi might have known more than they said, but again, there was no proof. The police looked into past boyfriends, strangers she had met, and even people who worked with her. But nothing ever led to an arrest. And without hard evidence, they couldn't charge anyone. So the mystery stayed unsolved. Even though many years went by, Jodi's name stayed in people's hearts. Her friends made a website called Find Jodi. It shared updates, photos, and kind messages from people who loved her. It asked the public to help by sharing tips or memories that might help solve the case. New TV shows made documentaries about Jodi's story. These shows asked new questions and brought more attention to her case. Even children who weren't born when Jodi disappeared grew up hearing her story. She became a symbol of hope and a reminder that bad things can happen, but we should never stop caring. Jodi's mother, Margie, never gave up. For many years, she told the world, "I believe someone knows something, and one day, the truth will come out." She kept a light on in her window. It was a way of saying, "Jodi, we are waiting for you." Sadly, Margie passed away in 2014 without ever knowing what happened to her daughter. But Jodi's sisters and the rest of her family kept her memory alive. They said her story would not be forgotten. Even though Jodi is still missing, her life has not been wasted. She inspired people to be careful, to look out for one another, and to tell the truth, even if it's scary. She reminded people to follow their dreams, just like she did. And she reminded the world that behind every news story is a real person, with a heart, a family, and a voice that matters. Jodi's story is sad, but it teaches something very important. Always tell someone where you are going. Always be aware of your surroundings. And always remember that it's okay to ask for help when something feels wrong. And if someone you love is missing, never give up hope. Because love is powerful, and hope is stronger than fear. Even though many, many years have passed since the day Jodi Huisentruit disappeared, her family and friends still think about her every single day. They have never forgotten her, not even for a moment. To them, Jodi is not just a name on a poster or face on the news. She is still their daughter, their sister, their friend, and their light. And their love for her is still strong, just like it was when she was here. Jodi's family always says she was the sparkle in every room. She had a laugh that made people smile. She gave the warmest hugs, and she could brighten up even the darkest day with her kind words. Her mom, Margie, used to say that Jodi had a heart as big as the sky. Jodi always called her mom, even when she was busy. She would say things like, "Hi Mom, I just wanted to hear your voice." Margie used to keep a light on in the window of their home every night after Jodi went missing. She said, "It's in case Jodi finds her way back, so she knows she's not alone." That light stayed on for years. Jodi's sisters would write letters to her, even though they didn't know where to send them. They kept her pictures on the wall. They talked about her at birthdays, holidays, and family dinners. They still do. Her family says that Jodi is not just a memory. She is part of who they are. Her laugh, her voice, her dreams. They live on in the people who love her. Jodi's friends describe her as someone who brought joy wherever she went. They say she loved music. She liked to sing while getting ready in the morning. And she would even dance a little when no one was watching. She was always writing notes to cheer people up, sometimes leaving them on their desks at work. One co-worker said, "Jodi made everyone feel special, even on the hard days." Her best friend said that Jodi always talked about the future. She wanted to travel the world. She dreamed of working in a big city newsroom. And someday, she wanted to fall in love, get married, and maybe have kids. But all those dreams were taken away. Her friends still wonder, what if? What if she had left just 1 minute later? What if someone had been there to stop it? What if someone had spoken up? The mystery remains. It's been over 29 years since Jodi disappeared. That's a long time. But the case is still not solved. No one has been arrested. No one has been charged. No one has found Jodi. This is what grown-ups call an unsolved mystery. A case that is still open but has no answers. And that makes it even more painful. Because somewhere out there, someone knows something. Someone knows what happened on that morning of June 27th, 1995. Someone knows where Jodi went. Someone may have even seen something, but never spoke up. Her family believes that if just one person told the truth, they might finally find her. They don't need revenge. They don't want to be angry. They just want to bring her home. What do people think happened to Jodi? Over the years, many theories have come up. Some people think Jodi was followed by someone who became obsessed with her from watching her on TV. They believe that person waited for her that morning and took her by surprise. Others think it might have been someone she knew, someone close to her who hid their bad side. But no one knows for sure. There were a few clues, like the bent mirror on her car and the items scattered on the ground. There was talk of a white van that was never found. There were even rumors that someone heard a scream that morning. But nothing led to a clear answer. No cameras caught the crime. No strong evidence was ever found. And no one ever confessed. And so, the questions continue. Jodi's family and friends still hope that one day, someone will come forward. They believe that someone knows something, even if it's small. Maybe it's a memory that didn't seem important at the time. Maybe it's a secret someone kept for too long. Maybe it's a detail that could change everything. Jodi's family says, if you know something, please speak up. Do it for Jodi. Do it for the truth. Do it because it's the right thing to do. They don't want to be angry. They don't want to blame. They just want peace. Even though Jodi hasn't come home, a light still shines. People around the world have learned from her story. They've learned to be more careful. They've learned to speak up when something feels wrong. They've learned that every person matters. Jodi's story has helped create groups that teach people how to stay safe. Some schools even talk about her case to help kids understand the importance of looking out for each other. Her face, her story, and her spirit continue to touch hearts. She is not forgotten. Every year, people gather in Mason City to remember Jodi. They light candles. They wear yellow ribbons. They share hugs, tears, and stories. And they promise the same thing year after year. We will not forget. We will not stop asking. And we will not stop searching. Even though Jodi's chair at the news station remains empty, even though her shoes are no longer by the door, even though her phone no longer rings, her presence is still felt. She is still loved. She is still remembered. And she is still missed by so many. To anyone listening, if you know something about what happened to Jodi Huisentruit, please don't be silent. No matter how small the detail may seem, it could be the key to solving the case. You can contact the Mason City Police Department or visit the website findjodi.com to send a message, even if it's anonymous. Let the truth be known. Let Jodi come home.